Hello, Cosmic Explorers, and welcome to another edition of Cosmic Insight. I'm your co-creator, Hillis Pugh, along with
Rebecca Gregory here. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching the show today and joining us and Hillis and exploring, because that's what it's all about, being a cosmic explorer of you. That's why we do this show, to open up, to find other people out there that are exploring and moving and growing. And so, what are the beautiful goddesses that are joining us today to talk about? Oh, Cosmos here, the puppy. So, talking about what's going on in their world and what they're opening up in the light being. Can you tell us a little about who our guests are today?
Definitely. I am super excited to have our soul sisters on today, sisters in spirit, sisters in this physical space. First, we have our dear sister Jennifer Ashwara, who is within the New Light Code community. She is a divine channel, high priestess, initiator, and mastery facilitator. She has been a high priestess in the temple of Isis, Avalon, and in the temple of Lemuria, and partner with Ra, who I feel a deep soul connection with, even though we have just met today in through this way. And then we also have Kendra Divine Purpose mentor. She is a spiritual leader, divine mother, ministry, metaphysical healer, prophet, channeler of Mr. Christ, and is a high self catalyst and the embodiment of the divine mother. So these beautiful women embody what it means to carry the divine feminine energy. So welcome, ladies. Thank you for being on the show with us today. So happy to have you on. I'm so excited.
Hello.
And so what I want us to jump out into, because you and I, well, we all share this space on the Ascended Master store. And with that, you guys had created a collaboration of this divine light body activation. And so first, can you tell us about how this collaboration of sisterhood started with you guys to create this activation?
Well, it started with us in Egypt. And the collaboration really came through from Source. And we've been paired together to bring these codes forth to humanity.
Yeah, we met in Egypt on a pilgrimage. And we then this year, that was last year, and then this year, we have gifts that are being brought together, and everything we do is channeled. So it was time for, you know how you have all your bodies, your physical body, your auric body, your emotional body. Well, that's all separation. So what the divine light body is it's now you're moving into your divine light body. It's kind of like your spaceship of one beautiful higher dimensional field that then activates you and moves you higher into entering into high councils or higher timelines and higher remembrances, where you don't have to activate all these different separate bodies, because isn't that separation? So that is what this divine light body and how we came together was. We have special gifts that together create things that we can't create on our own. So Spirit brought us together again.
Like I have a key for her and she has a key for me. And then together we unlock a lot of humanity.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you guys carry a piece of this divine light. And with each other, you guys pair in such a unique fashion. I mean, and this is my first time and Rebecca's first time seeing you and meeting with you, but I can already just feel the love, the joy, the passion that you guys have. And I'm just getting a little bit emotional right now. Because I feel this energy. And so, and it doesn't take much for me, because I am an emotional, vulnerable piece of masculinity sitting right here.
I feel like you're just in touch with you honor your sacred feminine energy. And so I just want to speak to whoever told you were too emotional. That's not true. Lumerians, even as the masculine embodiment in Lemuria, we were a feminine energy. So embrace that, because that's the time period we're stepping into, and more masculines need to be leading in that way.
Yeah, so if you see me ever crying wherever I'm at, it's because I am owning and honoring my divine feminine.
That's so sacred.
And
So,
it's beautiful to witness.
thank you. And so, with the merging, and I really appreciate what you talked about, Jennifer, just moments ago, and how even in the energy space that we're in, there's still this space of separation. And so, can you just give us an example or give us a deeper description, either you or Jennifer, maybe both, of how this merger of the separate layers of the emotional body, mental body, energy body, and so on, how they really converge to in this space of unity, of oneness, to ascend into what you just mentioned about the higher planes and higher councils?
Well, I can just speak a little bit more to that. Is everything moved into separation? Nothing is unique. So as density, as consciousness declined, a lot of the secrets left the temples and went into the crystalline realms. People started to compete with each other. I don't have enough, it starts to go down. And so then a oneness, like when we're in Lemuria, it was like androgyny. When you would mate with someone, you would just kind of merge. Like there was no, like sexual, like we do in the third dimensional world, that you didn't need to. So it's same with your body. So as we're now moving back into oneness and the new golden age of when things were at the highest peak, the 23,000 year circle, we're only at about, the darkest was the dark ages, about 1500. So we're not that far from that, but we're moving into now the Aquarian age, the golden age, where now they have opened up the treasure chest of everything. A lot that left even before Atlantis fell is coming back. And so you need to be into this oneness and remember and step in, so you can step into your highest codes. So then you can help lead humanity, because without these technologies of having, let's say, your light body, you're operating in the old system. The old Piscean and Aries ways, and you can't then access your divine oneness and your source codes by having this physical structure in alignment with being in oneness. And you are in oneness, like it's union upon union. Does that make
Beautiful.
sense? And how is that shift happening now in the new golden age that's opening up? Because I know there's a huge portal that is upon us, another portal. And how is that? How are you opening up to what am I trying to say here? Or to anchor in that new energy?
This is the year of the lovers. It's like the birthing year. And so this is our choice point collectively, because, we all are dreaming our own dreams, but then it's like we also have the collective dream. And so as more of us are stepping into, no, we choose no more fragmentation, we are choosing oneness. This is the path that we are going to walk. Then more light gets anchored into that oneness. And then people that are still choosing, probably because they don't know any better, they only know separation, they'll be in that separation consciousness, looking at the oneness and wanting it. It's like we have to go back to Eden before we can get all the way home.
Yes.
So we're in that space right now.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that more wisdom, because it's just really fueling the vibration of what we are stepping into right now. And is this activation for everyone? Can anyone do this activation? And then if so, what makes your activation different from all the other activations out there on the planet right now? Because I know I have a couple activations out too. And so, I just want to, because you guys are unique in how you carry this divine feminine. I just feel that energy. So yeah,
well, what I'm being shown is like, it's not like Jennifer's and I's are like better or worse, but we are the like originals. So it's like us, when you start at where we originally started, and then you have these other activations, it's like it adds on. But if you do it other way, then it's like you're going backwards. And so sometimes it doesn't all the way click in, because the initial activation you didn't do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're almost getting like the other activations, getting little pieces,
right.
Instead of anchoring in the core, like the core unit of you, and you have all these little pieces, kind of like soul fragments out there in a way.
Right.
But
it's just like when you're like spiritual because it's popular, but you like really don't know why you're meditating, or like if the difference between prayer and meditation, or like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like when you have that initial piece, it's like the foundation.
Gotcha.
And so everything can build upon that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's so great, Kendra. I also, there's a lot out there, and you only can activate what you have been initiated for in your soul path. So if you haven't been initiated to the highest codes, you can't give that to anyone because it doesn't come through you. And you don't really give anything. You actually are a vehicle for activation, where the person you're with or the field you create is an activated field, so people's codes activate. But where I come from and where Kendra comes from, we know exactly who we're working with, and it's right from source. I am part of the Golden Beings. My sister is Sekhmet, my sister is Isis, my partner is Ra. I chose to come back and know everything and come back, because as you move higher in source, you get bigger jobs. And one of the biggest jobs is you get a swath of universe and you create a galaxy. And that's the galaxy we're in, created by the golden beings of light with source. It's just a really big job. And that are the codes that are now coming back. And so that is the difference in our activation, is that I know exactly where it's coming from. I know what I've been initiated. I know the realms I have led and the galaxies I've led. And my whole thing was, did I really want to be visible again in this life? Right. Because I've done it before. And it was not, and it was, that's my biggest thing is, do I really want to do this again? You know? Plus, and I don't do this for the glory. Like, I've done it before, and I walk this, and yet I am here, and I have chosen yes. So it's just the power of what we offer.
And for me and Jennifer, like, we've both walked this earth, and we walked as, the original creator goddesses. And then we got into the whole human incarnation wheel and went through the human evolution process to become Christed beings. And then we got other jobs, like creating galaxies, or her with the Galactic Council, me with the Angelic Council. And so to choose to come back in and physically incarnate and forget, like, that was a dangerous choice point that we all made that choice, So, yeah. So it's like, as we were all awakening, it's like the things that you've already mastered, it just steps in as you remember more and more and more.
Yeah. You guys feel like that too? It's like prolific. It just, they keep coming in. All these knowledge, you just know it. Like, one day you didn't know it, the next day it's like, yep. Like, is that how it is for you guys?
I was talking about Beltane yesterday, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yes, I have been there. Yes, I remember this. I thought I knew nothing about this.
And it's interesting because I'm sitting here in your presence for the first time, and I feel like this is just a wave of energy of just coming over me. And Jennifer, just moments ago, you were talking about, and Kendra, you as well, talking about the roles that you had in creating universes and galaxies and things like that. And what came to my mind, something I want to share with you guys, because I feel like maybe we all have some part in this, is that I was one of the creators of Mu, one of the first galaxies, one of the first, solar systems of way back. So this is like more than millennia. This is probably like 10 millennia, a million years ago. So, or maybe 2. I mean, I'm really old, but and I just want to bring that up because I just feel that there's this otherworldly connection that I am feeling with you guys, and I honor that in this moment, in allowing your presence to be seen, to be heard, to be felt, not just with me, but everyone who is now watching and witnessing this. And possibly feeling it.
Yes. And also, ladies, just owning the energy and being the energy and coming together in communion to work together at the level that you do, bringing all this into humanity is just absolutely beautiful. And thank you so much for stepping forward and saying yes to doing this.
Yes, it's been our pleasure. It is different than like when you meet somebody on like a human level and you're like, oh, I like them. I want to do something with them. This was been ordained by God. So Just like us going to Egypt, she had the exact activation codes where Jesus had already told me I was going to go to Egypt to step foot on my homeland and remember who I am. And then she comes into my Facebook realm and she's saying all of these activation codes that have already been given to me. So it was like, okay, I don't know what we're doing, but I gotta go. And so then like the first day in the King's Chamber, it's not like I was like, okay, so Jennifer, I'm gonna go in the back, you're gonna go in the front, we're gonna scoop up all the no, it just like we stepped in and that's just how we naturally walked. And then it was like at the end, and I'm like, something's happening. And then all this beautiful magic came through us where we birthed the umbilical cord for the planet, and it was amazing. So plus like we all like stepped into our God self in that moment. So it's different when you're being like ordainedly guided and like inspired by like the Holy Spirit or by God versus I think from my ego I want to partner with this person or I want to play with that person. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's a different energy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And ladies, I noticed that on this particular activation, you have one of three. So what are the other two parts coming? Are they tied to any specific event, or how are the other two parts going to flow?
So it's just broken up into three because of the length of the activation.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah, and then there's a high council meeting. Once you get your divine body activated, then there's a high council meeting that you are then invited to because you have your light body, and that is the third. It goes into the third. So it was a whole day. This activation, it was like huge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. So you guys get your activation on. You have to.
And for that, we didn't know what was going to come through as well. I mean, Jennifer knew because she was leading, so she knew where we were going. But like when we stepped through and she was bringing everybody, it was like my job to walk in the back and like to be working on them through healing because we had to bring them up in consciousness. So Jennifer goes up and she's bringing in the codes. And then I take this light and I like lasso it around people. And then I like push them up to a higher level of consciousness. But everybody was holding on to their not self, their stories. And it felt like I was literally trying to roll this boulder up a hill and I couldn't get it up. And I was like, all right. I was like, if you guys are not ready to surrender your stuff, like that's fine, but you're going to have to get off the call because I can't move this for you. And so then it was like, finally people were like, oh, okay. And then they surrendered it. And as soon as they surrendered it, I was able to like throw them up and send everything back to source that needed to be re-encoded. And people were like, oh my God, I have no more physical pain. I've felt nothing but pain for 16 years. Like, and this was happening during the activation.
Wow.
So it was super powerful.
That's
stories the feedback that came in, and even live, like in the sharing, you'll hear it where people were like, I had a pain in my stomach and it's gone. People had long chronic issues that left. I remember 2 stories especially, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, and like birthing their higher selves and just seeing all of this radiant light, and it was just so magical.
And it's so beautiful because really a lot of times that's all it takes to let go of all that is just to surrender to that higher part of you, and that's all. That's when you come to that space.
To remember there's a part of you that's never been touched by the weight of this world.
Yes.
Yeah.
We chose to come here.
Yeah, we did.
And I disclose the book in the shadows. We don't need to suffer and go through all these lessons in these dark shadows anymore. It's time for us to step into the light and take the positive learning, but surrender the rest.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And speaking of surrendering, I know that a lot has transpired over the past 2 years of humanity. And I know that there's been the 2222 portal that has just opened up, and will continue on for quite some time. And I know this is something that you ladies are both super excited about. So can you talk to us more about your plans around this and what is expected for humanity moving forward?
Well, I'll just add in, yes, the 222 portal. February 2nd was the 5-pointed star. It was 5 2s, February 2nd, 2022. We're in a 6th year. So that was the 5-pointed star, opening it up, preparing like the first step of the throne. And then last year was a 5-year. So it kind of wrapped up all of that and then opened this golden portal. We're preparing for the 22nd, which is 6 2s. And we're in a 6th year. So it's the double trinity. And we have been called to be on the Leylines of Sedona and to open the new union codes for humanity. So we're going to lay and open the new union codes, which isn't the Vesca Pisces, where you have that little bit of overlap. That's the Piscean. It's Pisces. It's like already says it's the old age. The new union is right on top of each other, where it's full union. And it's a union of oneness, not divine masculine, divine feminine. And then they come together and then it's the one. We never were apart. And so we've been called to come to Sedona, and we're holding a pilgrimage on the 2-2 over February 21st to 23rd. And this is laying the groundwork for the next 2 portals of 2022. This is a huge birthing year. 6 is the divine feminine. She's the birthing number, creation of 6-6 on June 6th and 11-11. So it's initiation, then activation, and then coronation. And so we're in the initiation phase in Sedona on the Red Rock, and we're holding a pilgrimage online and in person. So we're excited.
The Temple Dome Sanctuary that we are in is like the Hathor Temple. Like it was created. I know that this person that created this place, they were just divinely inspired. But it literally is the Hathor Temple. And in Egypt, the Hathor Temple is where you birthed new life, new earth, everything. You birthed it in through the Hathor Temple. And it's also the Hathor Temple there is connected to the Pleiadian star seat, or the Pleiadian star system, and the 7 sisters. And so we're bringing all of that back online, because before we went to ancient Egypt, we were in Sedona. So it's just activating all these temples that are now ready to come back online. So it's like we're flipping the switches, and then everything's just going to like light up. And I have heard 3 times now that you 2 are supposed to join us. So no pressure. But I have heard it 3 times since we've been on this.
So will that be in person, or could we do it from where we are?
We'll do it from where you are, or in person.
We would love for you to join us in person.
Yeah. Can you imagine the power?
I know it's such short notice, but I would do what I can to hop on a flight to Sedona. But
my car's ready to go.
All you
have to come down here and get me.
Everything else will
get you.
Yeah. Where are you?
We're calling in the high leaders and the way showers. We're not. This isn't for the people that are just finding their path. This is for the masters. And if we have been in temples together, we're calling that in again. So it doesn't surprise me. I was feeling a connection too, but I don't know. Kendra,
when I heard it 3 times, I was like, I have to say it. No, I'm literally hearing you're supposed to come join us.
Well, Rebecca's in Jacksonville, and I'm 5 hours away from her. So, I mean, in which basically she has to double back to get me.
I'm driving from California. So
yeah, we're on the other side of the country.
You're on the other side.
Yeah. I've been there before.
So maybe we can make it happen.
I'm a car traveler. I take off and I'm always on the go. So
from Florida?
Wow. Oh yeah, I drove to Mount Shasta a couple years ago. So yeah, across the country.
That's good, because you'll be taking the codes there and back.
Yeah, and I stayed on the land. I got invited to go to different. Yeah, when I travel,
the whole
time.
Then
you grid it. You grid it. Drive.
Yeah, I'm literally seeing like the grid that she would make.
Oh, because the divine feminine, she walks the grids like Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, and Christ. The divine masculine, they fly. They're higher. They do a bigger grid. They hold space. And the divine feminine, she walks the earth. She drives.
I'm a flyer.
I mean, so you fly, and then she'll come pick you up from the airport.
We'll come pick
Yeah,
you up at the
that's
airport.
a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make that
Oh, the
happen
airport.
too.
Huh?
And then we
Yeah.
can do I mean, all these ideas, we could talk about these ideas. But thank you, I mean, for this invitation. I mean, I am humbled by this. I mean,
Oh,
because, we wouldn't be a part of the Ascended Masters if we weren't masters already.
yes.
Right.
And so it is in that in which we honor ourselves and honor the energy of our presence in the birthing and the remembering of who we are and the space that we walk in. So yes, it is in that beauty that we magnify that.
Isn't that beautiful how we are all finding each other again? How, you felt that with me, and now I'm going to start remembering, because that happened to me in Machu Picchu. A sister who was a shamaness, she said, "Oh, I see your dress. I see your blue belt. You were in Lemuria." And I had not one Lemurian memory until she helped me to remember. It takes sometimes someone else like filling in the sentence, and
Yes.
then I get the memory again. And
Yes.
thank you for that, because when we're off this call, I'm going to tune into you and to how we know each other, and I can't wait, because you've opened that up in me, and
I
that we're
can't wait either. I've been honestly collecting for the past like 3 or 4 years, not just Lemurian crystals, but also some little Lemurian artifacts as well, other crystals from that time to really help me to remember all this. So I'm excited as well.
In Lemuria, we didn't have the density to have memory. Everything was experience. So we didn't have like when we would meet, we would like have an experience. And so it'd be like,
Yeah.
But when we wanted to start to remember, we used to program our crystals with the things that we wanted to remember. So you just like this is a divine feminine Lemurian crystal. Even her points are going inverted. And you can see like this little portal. And then this is a masculine, and he even has points
time window
on the outside. Yeah.
I love this exchange. She was just having me, because I can go all the way back to when I was on Sirius A, B, and C in different lifetimes, but that's a whole other story. And I was going to ask you guys something, and this whole talk about Lemuria is like, bing, what conversation?
It's just like when Jennifer and I were doing the light body activation, and all of a sudden Jennifer looked at me and she's like, oh my God, I like see this when we were walking down these
the tuning forks.
Yeah. And it was like boom, and then I was seeing it too, and then we were literally there. And I think we just stayed there the rest of the time. Like I don't even remember.
Kendra bought these tuning forks, and I saw when she put it up to my third eye, I saw how you would walk down in single file, and there'd be a tuning fork, like a truth, where if you were going to get a high initiation, they were in a time of density where maybe you could hide some obfuscation from the high priest or priestess, but the tuning fork couldn't. And if it tuned, and then they would tune you, and then if it was a yes, you could get the high initiation. But I saw it all, and I wouldn't have seen that if she hadn't done the exact same like physical motion.
And that was my lifetime when we were first starting out in ancient Egypt, and that's when my mastery was sound. And I used to have temples. Jesus has just been showing me temples that were created just with sound and light, and people would walk in and and so he said, bring that knowledge on in this life. And it came through during the light body activation that when Jesus said, you are the tuning fork, just be the tuning fork. But a lot of our voices have been offline in this life, through just especially with the divine feminine,
not Rebecca's though.
Using your voice, using your voice, there's nothing that in your field that can't be touched by your voice, and so our voices have gone offline through shame and just different lifetimes being hung, all of this. And so now as we step more and more, it's just like when we were in the actual Hathor temple in Egypt. And our sister was not, she'd never sang like this in her life. And I was stepping back, and it was like, I was looking at the larger pattern and where everybody needed to be placed. And one specific sister was like standing here, and she was supposed to be standing here. and I had my singing bowl, but I wasn't going around like, whoo, you know, I was like going around to people and I would like see where they were stuck and I would like ding it out of them and I would do this. And there's this like sound that was coming out of my third eye and it was like tuning out the density in people. Wow. And so I go over to our sister because I see that she's a key. And I went like this and I put her into the key and then I got down and I dinged my sound bowl and I said, sing. And she was like, whoa! Like, opening up this whole thing, like, and that was our key code when we got in. Wow. And so
that was in the birthing chamber at the Dendera temple. And I remember we have pictures of all of that.
And we have that, like we have it recorded. And she's like, I've never heard myself sing like that in my life.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And you know, I'm sitting here and you guys are referencing Egypt so much, and that I am being recalled to a time when I was in Egypt, a high priestess, to the god of Thoth. Are you ladies familiar with Thoth?
Yeah, very much. And Thoth actually lives like in Egypt. His remembrance, his coffee pot, it's just missing his headdress or whatever. And that's where I live, like on it.
Wow. Because I was gonna say who, and I feel, because I know, well, I guess it's you then, Kendra, because I know Jennifer, I know you and I were in Lemuria together, and I guess Kendra, you and I were in Egypt together during that time. Because it's interesting, I was having a conversation with a brother of mine a few days ago, and I was speaking to him about how the civilization started, because I said the Syrians were the ones who helped to create humanity, even though the Palladians, the Leylines, and everyone else came thereafter. But the Syrians were, to my knowledge, from what my remembrance, and I could be wrong, but they were here first and they created the Lemurian civilization. And so from that civilization, after that ended, the other Palladians and everyone else came in along with the Syrians to partner to create Atlantis. And then after Atlantis, I believe came Babylon. And then after that came Samaria. Then after that, Egypt, and then Roman, and then, the rest is history after that.
And then it all went to shit.
And speaking of, since we have traveled in this path of civilization from high creation to low vibrating energy, what else can we expect out of 2022? I mean, can we expect, more peace, more prosperity, more harmony, more balance? What can we, from what you guys tune into and connect, and from the work that you've been doing in the activation space?
Well, there will be this peak, and we're seeing it happen right now. Like finally people are standing up, with like in Canada and stuff. And so you're going to see this power of the people. And so and I just pray that we've done enough foundation work, because if you think about what happened with the Capitol, that happened because they send out these frequencies, and we all have our instincts. And so when we are when we can't just come back to our center after we've been triggered, or like feel something, then come back to our center, that's when we see people storming the Capitol and in so much rage. So know that the powers that want to continue to be will continue to send out these fearful electric frequencies. But the more that we can step into our feminine energy, and when those electric pulsations come out of fear, we can just breathe it in, alchemize it, and then send out love. And that's the feminine's job on the planet. And so the more we can step into that, the more we will see harmony. But there does need to be, and there will be, a power of the people that rise, but they don't need to fight against. They just need to stand together and say, no, not today. Like, we're not going to do this. And when we do that, I mean, they'll just say, okay, well, we're done. That's what's going to happen. But I don't know why it's taking us so long. But with the Pluto return in the United States happening literally on the 22nd of February, what I see is us literally coming out of the Temple Dome Sanctuary, and it's like we're stepping into a new era, and everything is different.
Wow.
Any recommendations, ladies, for people besides either doing your temple activation online or, for people moving, like listening to this, moving into the 222 portal, I'm getting my twos mixed up.
Yeah, I know.
Portal, that you can recommend to kind of help assist them as they move into this center, to maybe anchor in if they're not able to attend or whatever, that you can assist them, and some good information to assist them, help them navigate this.
Well, I think it's creating that inner foundation within them. And I know Kendra has, I think you have 1,000 videos on your YouTube channel. She is prolific. She has huge library. And also,
but it's been preparing them for this time. When everybody wakes up and they need the information or they need the healing, like it's all available on my YouTube. But go ahead.
And I think that's so important, because you do need to prepare. That's why I was just in Sedona. They called me. I came to see Kendra, and we thought, we'll prepare for our pilgrimage and the usual thing. And no. We had to literally go to the birthing cave, take a new devotional agreement of what we're going to walk, and
like marriage.
And the thunder clapped in the other valley. We thought, oh no, the rain's coming. No, the thunder was breaking up the matrices, because we literally were opening and preparing for the 222. It's taking a lot of effort for the universe to prepare for this. It's so huge. I didn't realize the hugeness of it until I was there, and I saw. Then we went to another vortex in Sedona, and Kendra aligned the divine masculine, divine feminine, and was aligning the different vortexes. Like it's so within you is that inner foundational work, your inner masculine, your inner feminine, healing it all, because you can't take. January was kind of a rough month for a lot of us. We had to heal a lot, and it was epic cave time, like going into the cave, and it's collectively, I could feel it. And I went through some really old karmic stuff. I had no idea what was going through my tight stomach and nervousness and feeling funky for around that full moon in Cancer. Oh, yikes. That was just treachery. I normally am not affected by the moons anymore, but wow, that was, so I could tell.
But it needed to come up.
Yeah. So I feel the healing in your own way. You can come to our portals, lightpriestesstemple.com or Kendra DivinePurposeMentor.com, and get some support, get some free videos, get some connection and community, or whoever you work with, to create that foundation so you can move into your highest timeline and your highest masteries, because you are a key code to the new earth, the new golden age. We're not doing this by ourselves anymore. No. Only the big codes come in when we are a yes to be together.
Yeah.
So
also, I feel like everybody on the planet needs to have a modality of healing that they go to the moment a trigger or trauma comes up. Yes. So that we're not spending lifetimes like not working through our stuff, like that time period is over. And people that don't want, because what is not repaired is repeated. And so we have this collective, like I would say, like the star seeds, the light workers, way showers that have come in that are like, all right, I'll go into this family. Like we've spread ourselves out amongst all lineages. So there is no like, oh, they're the bad guys. No, because we used to all be in one family. Now we're spread through all. So we can't do that anymore because it's by us creating harmony within diversity that we bring it all back together. And so like last year in October, Jesus had me just put out a course that, because I've done different healing modalities. I've studied psychology for 10 years, and it's about creating the quickest way to complete trauma and connect it all to Christ consciousness. So I put out a course that literally gives you several different ways to complete trauma, work with clients, and then like assist you into finding your mastery. So I feel like everybody just needs, even if it's a book, that you have that helps you to complete trauma when it comes up, just don't stay stuck in it. And when these feelings come up, just allow yourself to see it, to feel it, because that's when you're going to complete it. But most of the time we suffer because we just don't want to feel it, so we're running away, but we never, like it's the moment we turn around, it hits us like a ton of bricks.
So, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Kendra, because, now on the planet, I know personally for me, when last year, in the month of September, I did a whole entire month of just plant medicine, just doing all that ton of work. And so do you think that, and this for you too, Jennifer, do you ladies feel that in this time that people who are not facing their traumas or their fears are going to be kept in that cycle of repetition as we move into this place of ascension?
It's interesting that they had you do it last year, because if you would have done it this year, you would have gotten a different energy, because this year we have the polarities of Neptune. And so everybody's being called to like give up all like addictions and all like relying on, it. So I think it's interesting that you were even guided to do it last year.
Yeah, that was a gift to myself.
Yeah, it's to get you through like a lot of stuff in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. I mean, thanks for sharing. I feel the energies now. I feel like plant medicine isn't even needed really going forward.
Now you have the frequency inside of you.
And you don't need something outside of you to access where we're going, because then you always have that neural pathway and you know how to get back there on your own. And I feel the energies are so open now, and to move into that just through being in conscious connection and even in activated circles and even by yourself. I feel for myself that like it's so open right now to reach that. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, but just as collective, just as humanity, do you feel that, as we move forward and people who don't acknowledge their fear, don't acknowledge their trauma, don't acknowledge anything that's keeping them in a stagnant place, do you feel that as we ascend, are they going to have to be forced to face that, or are they going to stay stagnant, or is it going to be their choice?
You can't stay stagnant, because when we're not expanding, we're dying. So if they stay stuck, they're literally just making a conscious choice to die. Because there's no more expansion.
Simple enough.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people are leaving the planet right now.
What'd you say?
That's why a lot of people are leaving the planet now.
Right.
Was for that reason. They don't want to be here anymore. And they made that choice to.
Right. But it's not even like they're leaving, because we're just coming back together, so we've created way too much fragmentation, like we've separated into like way too many. And so like it's not like souls actually leave, because their soul has to evolve to a point where they can surrender their soul back to source.
Yes.
So like they'll come and join us in different ways, and they'll all have their choice. But like when you guys come to like, oh, they're saying that you guys are coming. When you guys come to an event like the Divine Union, like when you have those Divine Union codes within you, you're also sharing that with everything. Like, so when you're doing videos, now people are getting that unity consciousness, light code within them, just because they're connected with you.
Yes.
And then you driving across, the United States, everybody, right? It's like you're sprinkling fairy dust on every place that you drive to.
It's funny you say that, because I say that. I drive across and I sprinkle fairy dust. In my last trip, I just was up in the mountains up near Cherokee land, and I got my GPS took me. I don't know if I should be saying this line. Took me to the tribal lands, to Cherokee Nation, and I literally sat there. And I was told to drive through there when there's this big sign, "Do not enter." And I was literally told, and I drove through and did my sound all the way through to shift the vibration of that land.
Yeah. And the elders, thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. You guys are supposed to come.
We'll figure it out somehow, some way. I mean, because it's funny. I was talking to a family friend yesterday, and I was telling her, I don't know how my transition and my next movement is going to evolve for my life. And I said to her, as long as I have my clothes, my laptop, and my crystals, I can pretty much go where I need to go.
Yeah.
I think we're all in the flow. I've been on the road now for 7 years. I had I built a clothing business in Los Angeles and was from nothing, and was guided to, they said, "Oh, you're no longer doing this." And I'm like, no. I mean, I'm dry. I'm completely empty inside, and I'm angry most of the time because I work so hard, but no. And then I had to be wound and then rewound. And then I sold everything. And I've been sent to sacred vortexes across the planet. And this is like my 7th, I thought 2-year break. How fun. A 2-year after working for 15 years straight, you know? And so me too. Like I have a storage unit and I just got a car. It was like, oh my gosh, it's a big purchase. And that's it. And just my crystals, my clothes, and some pillows and some sheepskins.
Jesus told me to sell all of my belongings, and I was guided to come to Sedona. But as long as I surrendered all of my belongings, then I could have what was coming to me. And I was so, like I didn't want to give away my turntables. I had them downstairs when I was doing my yard sale. And he was like, now because you have attachments, go give that to your friend. So I came here to Sedona last June with nothing. Wow. And I have a daughter. And so like we came here with nothing. And the cost of living from Montana, it's like 6 times more expensive, So I didn't know how that was all going to work out. But it's like they needed me here so that we could create new vortexes, literally. And I've been fully supported since I got here. So it's like when you follow with that kind of faith and you surrender all attachments, it's like the kingdom of heaven is available to you.
Wow. And I really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. And I really appreciate you saying it because, there's something that I've been talking about on the show almost the whole month of January and part of this month. So it's been a reoccurring topic on the show is attachments. And it wasn't until I was in the midst of my transition into my new space, letting go of certain aspects, letting go of certain beliefs, letting it all go. And, and what popped into my head was the teachings of Buddha and how we, and how suffering is through attachment and how we, because of our personal attachments, whether it be physical, emotional, whatever, we suffer through that and how we choose not to let that go and how we choose to just be in that space and suffer. And it wasn't until then, and I've been hearing that for years, but it wasn't until I really had this transitional moment where I really learned to understand the suffering through attachment. And so would you say that was part of like you ladies experienced that you guys were in that space of suffering, or you guys just completely surrendered? How was that for you ladies?
I mean, because there's nothing that we need of this world. And so the more we like cling to things of this world, the more we're going to be dictated by the laws of this universe. It's like Jesus said he didn't have a place to rest his head. There was no place on earth where he could call home because this is not our home. And so the more we remember that, and the more we realize, like when we cling to something, even a relationship like that, you need to allow that relationship to be born each day. You don't know what that person's going to be that day, and just allow it to flow and grow together. But the moment you cling, that's addiction. And when you hold on to it, it's just like picking a flower. When you pick a flower, you're killing it. You're taking its life. And so when we want to hold on to things, we kill it.
Wow, that's so powerful. I think for me, I just was guided that you no longer need this. And I was actually thrilled. Mortgages, and I had rental units and tenants and employees. And, for me, it was, I couldn't be in that bartering. I was in the fashion industry, which you barter and negotiate every second. And it's very 3D. And I couldn't be go to where I was going, being that person. So I had to completely shift everything. And so for me, it was a sloughing off of what no longer was my life. So I could have that freedom to do my devotional high sacred service. And it's so much easier without those constraints of, laws change and new regulations and, you have to, and the bank, and you're tied into that whole old matrix, which is crumbling, but you're
like the example that I give people, like when the person that had it all, and then they just take their keys and they just throw them and then walk away. But I think it's important for people to understand that, when you get switched on, you can have this whole life that you were fine with. And then all of a sudden you walk in and you're like, why in the heck have I been doing this for this long? This is not who I am. And it's because we've literally had to dumb ourselves down to be physically incarnated upon this planet. It didn't serve us to know the truth of who we were while we were still needing to learn in the shadows, because this lifetime was about being as human as possible. And so we could really understand all points of polarity. So now that we're getting switched on, don't think that you're crazy if you come home one day and you're like, why am I doing this job? Actually, I want to sell everything and move to Puerto Vallarta, like I'm just being called, whatever it is. Don't fear that. Don't allow the muggle mind of like, with all the attachments, to be like, oh no, because like Jennifer said, it wasn't a smart, quote unquote, smart decision or good business decision for her to walk away. But the lights got switched on. She was like, oh, this isn't me, like I need to go on my path now. And so her mastery from other lifetimes is now dropping in, and she's going into, the ways of sacred living. And yeah, so don't think that you're crazy if that's happening to you. You're just waking up.
Yeah. Hillis, I have a question for you. Do you ever get called to Bali? Has that ever been something?
Don't tease me now.
Don't tease him.
Because I lived there for 2 years, and we found Lemuria. I mean, we had gone there in Lemuria because Bali is the mountaintops of
I have been wanting to go to Bali forever.
It's time for you to start traveling.
Yeah, because
I've been wanting to go back to Hawaii forever. Right. I love Hawaii.
Well, 11/11.
I'm even called to go to, and I haven't been yet. I was told this a couple of years ago, that I have to visit Lake Titicaca, the Gate of the Gods, and stand at the gateway to receive other activation codes. And I'm like, I have to get there now. And so anyone who's watching, if they would like to assist, we are more than ready and willing to travel.
Just say yes and it'll all come.
Yes. Yes.
I think it's listening to our soul's intuition, that divine feminine within us, that, and when you shut it down, you're like, no, I'm not going to celebrate. Like I had a choice in my standing in my business that day when that voice came in, and it wasn't my voice. It was like, I'm like, wait, who just said that? And I was like, no, in that moment. And then we talked about it, but I could have said, no, you have a choice. But if I did, I would have been ignoring my soul contract, and my soul, like, your contract's in every cell. And I would be having to then bypass who I really was supposed to be. And so I really encourage all the beloveds out there to listen to your soul and tune in. It's a little voice, then it's a louder voice. And then I say it's a 2x4. It hits on the head. Because if you're not listening to that voice, you're not listening to who you really are. And I feel that I feel so free now. I'm happier. I mean, I go through things too, but it's a lightness when you say yes to your highest path.
Yeah. And it's the divine mother, it's just like when you're a child and you're playing around and she's like, don't do that. And you don't listen. She's like, no, don't do that. And then you're like running out in the middle of traffic and she like yanks you and you're like, what the heck? She's like, I just saved your life. So that's the divine mother. She's not trying to hurt you when she brings power moments. She's trying to wake you up.
Yes.
It's all these precious moments that we allow ourselves to have, and these experiences and these stories, and you both embodying that of which we are now stepping into as a collective. It's beautiful to witness. I've been sitting here for the entire show, just receiving this abundant flow of information. And I'm like, I can't wait to really dissect and understand what this is once this recording is finished. But it's just beautiful. And so now Rebecca has something on her mic. I could just feel her. And this is how we've been together so long. I could just feel when she's just like ready. So,
ladies, thank you so much. I really required the energy of the both of you today. I've been personally struggling with something, stepping into my next level of me. And you were my divine mother today, kicking me in my butt to give me that little push that I required from something I've been struggling with the last couple of days. So I honor the both of you. I thank you so much for your time today and being here. And you've just touched my soul today. So thank you.
Thank you, sister. We're all here for each other. And that is why I'm here, is to activate the codes of humanity to take the leaders higher. So by just us connecting, I hope that served you in some way, because that is why I am here. And that's what I'll do for the rest of my life.
And that's such a beautiful thing to say, Jennifer. I thank you so much, because we do have to remember that we are here together to work together as a team, to help raise the consciousness level of this planet so we can move into a place of love and live in that space. And we have to come together and stop fighting each other in order to do that.
Exactly.
So
stop living from lack consciousness. It's just a program we have to control, alt, delete.
Oh my God, you're speaking my language. No, I'm being serious, because this morning, one of the client I had this morning had to reschedule because she wasn't feeling well. So I said, well, what am I going to do in this time slot? So what I did some shedding of lack programming, some like beliefs today. So when you said that, I'm like, confirmation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, ladies, it is almost that time, and so thank you for honoring us with this beautiful opening of this connection today. And aside from the Ascended Masters activation class that you guys can find the description in the show notes, you guys can click on that, purchase it, and I tell you, just from being in the presence with them, get your activation on. I mean, I mean, beyond. And so, where else can people find you? First, Jennifer, then Kendra. Where can people find you to get more information about what's coming up, what's going on, and what's happening?
Oh, you can find me, Jennifer Shira, at lightpriestesstemple.com. And we have on the menu the events, and you can find the new events coming. And our next one is that Sedona pilgrimage for the 2222 portal on the 21st and 23rd to the 23rd of February. So yeah.
And then where are the other two ones? You're doing the first one is Sedona, and then the second one's in Hawaii.
The second one is Mount Shasta on June 26th. And we're going to bring in, we're calling in the Golden Guardians, and it's the new Golden Sun. It's a whole new sun. The sun we have actually has been co-opted. Yeah. And so the Golden Pyramid is going to become Mount Shasta. And we're literally, it's the golden structures of the new Golden Age are physically coming in. We're laying the initiation groundwork on February 22nd in Sedona. Then we go to Shasta for the activation. Then we go to Hawaii, to the Big Island, which is the center of a whole vortex that goes from Bali to Sedona to Shasta. We were in Bali activating in 2020. So it's, and then that's the coronation. So those are the three Trinity portals of 2022.
Beautiful.
You can find all at lightpriestesstemple.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you can find me at KendraDivinePurposeMentor.com if you guys would like to work one-on-one with me in a healing session or Divine Life Purpose session, or if you would like to join one of my courses, you can find it all there. And also all of the videos I talked about are on YouTube, Kendra Divine Purpose.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, ladies, for your time today. And thank you for everyone for watching another episode of Cosmic Insight. But don't forget to tune in every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, for your weekly live tune-up where we're live and anything could happen.
And it does. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And thank you, Jennifer and Kendra, for your time today.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Keep on exploring, everyone.
Blessings.